thinking the handsomest man in the
How's life treating you?
We did. We'll get some more. We'll get the baby around. Everybody actually got cut, but I don't think we went over for sure. But that includes one life.
We're just moving up to Plaque. Yeah, here's on our home, walking down there.
The airborne.
I don't want to watch
You don't mind, yes, I ordered next time.
He's smiling. He was. Anyway, I don't think.
General salute. Present! Out! Guard, shoulder! Out! left. Left! Turn! Left wheel, quick! March! And that. Easy. Please be seated. And easy.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you here today on behalf of the 15th Field Regiment Museum. Perhaps a few words are in order before we get into the major part of the ceremony. I'm going to give you just a little background on the fort itself. First of all, this site was part of the Vancouver defenses in World War II. And at the end of the war, for a short period of time, it was used by the 15th Coast Regiment. And when they were converted into field artillery, the fort was virtually left, was really abandoned. A few buildings were used by the Department of National Defense, but really it was abandoned after 1950. In 1974, they were planning this building over here, the Museum of Anthropology, and as a result, part of the battery, which extended over to my right, was going to be destroyed in the construction. And as a result, Peter Mook, who is Professor Mook and also Major Mook, he's here wearing two hats today. He actually hasn't got a hat on, but he thought that this should be saved, and he managed to get the university to leave this particular emplacement without covering it over. They were going to make perhaps a Japanese garden here, and it was all going to be filled over. So that was the first rescue mission, really. After that, in 1975, he tried to get the provincial government to put in a plaque here to commemorate this area as a historic site. And that failed, but he didn't give up. Again in 1986, by then this place was totally overgrown, and at that point he tried again, and we have that much correspondence from Cabinet Minister and so on in Victoria. Thank you, Vic. Brigadier Dumoulin, Madam Marzari, the Honourable MLA from Point Grey, Colonel Hood, Dr. Unger, members of the Armed Forces, and guests who are here today. As we look around on a splendid day such as this, a typical Vancouver day, we might tell our friends from Ontario, I guess we all understand why we're here. And the simplistic answer to that question, why are we here today, is of course to unveil in a few moments this plaque, to commemorate an event that took place here almost 52 years ago. And almost 52 years ago, it wasn't as peaceful as it was in Vancouver, and the clouds of war loomed in Europe, and were soon to affect all Canadians. We're here, if I delve a little deeper into your hearts and into your minds of all those that are gathered here, we're here not just to unveil the plaque, we're also here because among our members today, gathered today, are those of you who did serve here. And those individuals were just indicated a few moments ago. Not just here, but on York Island, on Vancouver Island, across Canada between 1939 and 45, and in fact in far distant fields, in Italy, in Asia, Europe, and I'm not just talking about those in khaki, but those in the light blue and the dark blue. So those of you who served in the Second War are here, and I'm sure you brought your memories here with you. And not only those of you who served in the Second War are here, but your friends, your families, your relatives are here to remember this day and to remember your service. But those are not the only individuals here. There are a lot of young people who were not even alive during the Second War. I barely made it by a couple of years myself, so I don't recall any of it. But we're here because of what the Canadian Armed Forces, typified by the battery that was here and by those of you who served, and those who continue to serve in the armed forces have done for Canada, and to pay tribute to all of those sailors, soldiers, airmen, men and women who have served Canada. And as a serving soldier, albeit a part-time reservist, I am honored to be here today with you, with all of you, for this very special day. And I look forward to the unveiling in a few moments of this plaque. Thank you.
We're going to blow away here. Well, members of the 15th Field Artillery Regiment, Brigadier General Theo, my friend Theo. After I didn't know you were Brigadier General. Now that goes to show you how little some of us know that came along later. Brigadier General MacDonald, Vic Stevenson, Peter Mook, all of those of you who have been involved with in the remembrance of this site and in the preparation of today's ceremony, I say congratulations. I say thank you too for helping the rest of us as a community remember and to hold our continuity of community experience together with moments like this and with plaques like this. How important it is that we, younger ones than some of you, continue to remember that which you have done for us in those places, this beautiful place, in which we have preserved our country's safety and security. This day is also full of ironies, is it not? This is the day when Vancouver had its Peace March, and today is the day that we are recognizing here the preservation of peace as we saw it 50 years ago. A few more ironies that come up today as well. How long did it take? Professor Mook has informed me, how long did it take our province, our city, to recognize the importance and the significance of this piece of our heritage, of this remembrance today? I'm told by Professor Mook that on 2 separate occasions attempts were made to get this commemorative plaque properly installed by the Provincial Heritage Branch, and it never really happened. And what did happen was a gradual recognition just a few years ago, and now all the voluntary effort that's gone into this is certainly significant for us, but it would have been much better, I think, if the province had helped out earlier on. And I certainly hope the province will take note of this and understand that heritage sites and heritage remembrances are what pull the community together. Professor Mook told me that the Museum of Anthropology, as it was being built, promised that there would be no disruption of this site. And a few years ago, 10 years ago, he heard dynamite blasts, and when he came down here from his office, he found out that the whole central emplacement had been totally blasted out, and that the 2 gun emplacements were going to be covered over by a Chinese hill tomb. So in fact, it's been a series of ironies, but here we are today. Through thick and thin, we've managed to get this far to commemorate our community's history and our community's pride. So it's with a great deal of pleasure that I extend you congratulations, and on behalf of the larger community, I say thank you to those of you who made it possible for us to remember with this plaque today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, General MacDonald and Vermeulen, Melanie Martari, and Major Stevenson. Thank you for the invitation to be here today. The History Department of the University of British Columbia is pleased to have played a role in the erecting of this plaque and pleased to play a role in this ceremony today. Congratulations to you, Major Stevenson, and to your committee and the 15th Field Artillery Museum for this success. This site has had a long connection with the University of British Columbia. The military presence, as you know, even predates the university. The military reserve, established here in the 1860s, formed the basis of the university endowment lands. The gun emplacement was first here in 1914, before the university moved to the site to a permanent fort, part of the UBC campus in 1940. After the site was disarmed in 1948, it continued to be a part of the university, and there are many students who have fond memories of their time at Fort Camp just behind this site. The history of the connection between the university and the military presence here is chronicled by by a member of the History Department group in his book, Vancouver Defended. And indeed, the site remains an integral part of the campus, an integral part of the Museum of Anthropology, which was just the participation of the university today and its continued participation throughout the entire process of bringing this project to fruition is part of what has been, and I hope, and I'm sure will be, a continuing commitment to the commemoration of and an interest in the local history and in our heritage. Thank you very much.
Few short words. But it's a great experience for me to be here. I owe all I know about ping pong at City East, and another game we used to play in the mess of the 15th field. And it stood me in very good stead when I was overseas. And it's almost like coming home to be asked to do this for you. You don't need to worry about me. I was taught to get up, speak up, and shut up. Which I intend to do. But to me, this is a tremendous honor, a fabulous honor. When I think of this site, when I used to come up here, I don't think we ever did any damage to anybody with our 25-pounders, but at least we were prepared to do so if we had to. I should never remember those days. I think Major Wilson was here at that time, right, Colonel? And all my experiences with the 15th field, so as they stood me in good stead, because when I was overseas, I was able to duck those things that were coming over with the intention of putting me out of business altogether. And so it is that today, I'm overwhelmed by the fact that I've been asked to do this, and it's not an easy thing to do. I don't believe I can't dedicate things to war, but I can dedicate memories of things that were necessary for war and for those who had the job of fulfilling those things. And so today, with this plaque, it represents the services of those who spent many a sleepless night out here, manning the 25-pounder which we had. And I'm sure we must think of them. Some of them may be here now, I wouldn't know. But to their memories, I would dedicate this plaque. And in connection with that, in view of my own experiences overseas, where I learned a great deal from the 15th field to enable me to stand here today, I can dedicate those who gave their lives in order that you and I might be here doing exactly what we're doing today. And I cannot do it any better than in the words of Lawrence Binion, which most of us here on Armistice Day, and they are, they shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary, nor the earth condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning,
We'll remember that.
no more can I say.
Could you please stand while the company plays?
Out!
seated. I'd like to call upon Brigadier General Dumoulin and Colonel Hood, ask them in a moment to unveil this plaque. Brigadier Dumoulin here was the battery commander of this battery in August of 1939 when the 58th Battery was called out to man the fort. Now, it didn't look much like this when he got here. In fact, they were racing to put the guns in place down further in front of this position in temporary position. And this came along a little bit later. But he was the man who initially came out here with the men a full 2 weeks before war was declared to get things ready in case. And Colonel Hood was the commanding officer of the 15th Coast Regiment in 1942 and 1943, and he was the commanding officer of this fort, Stanley Park, Narrows North, Point Atkinson, and Steveston. I don't think I missed anything, did I? York Island. Okay, York Island. Oh my God! So it's very fitting that we are having these two people here to take part this afternoon.
Yeah.
I hope you'll all come up and take a look at it after. They probably won't all be able to see it at once. And we think it's a very nice plaque, and we hope that you people will look after it, and I know you will, but I hope the general community respects it just as much as you and I do. And now, that concludes our official ceremonies. There is a guest book circulating somewhere. If you haven't signed the guest book, we really would like you to sign it before you go. And take a look at the photographs on the table down below. And just take a wander around. The only room which we have open so far is the old gun store down over here. So just take a wander around, and if I can answer any question, or Keith, or Jose and Don on what they did, and perhaps some of you would like to ask Brigadier Dumoulin or Colonel Hood what it was like 50 years ago. Thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.
Well, I know there's something going on. Oh, he's taking a picture. Look. I told the old man to get in
Yeah. I mean, it's 80 all about this. Beautiful backyard. I want to be in all the pictures. I'll see you on Friday. Hey.
There's nobody else left than you do.
Well, I got these treated. They don't have a picture. What they couldn't figure out, what they didn't fire. Yeah, the minute or two.